Good afternoon and welcome to News Hour. I am David Patrick Kamara. Coming up in this edition of News Hour, skirmishes in Kabbalah. Unconfirmed reports say 2 people have been killed. Ministry of Education releases the 2016 MPSC result. A delegation from Marlborough Investment Group is in the country to explore possible areas of investment. And Chinese medical doctors to carry out free cataract surgery on Sierra Leoneans. All those stories, including business and sports, are lined up in this edition of News Hour. Stay with us. Well, we'll take our first story for this afternoon. Reports reaching the SLBC states that there are skirmishes in Kabbalah town as youth took to the street following plans by the government to relocate the youth village from Konadugu to Tonkolele district. The relocation plan has been rejected by the youths, who noted with dismay that such a decision will leave their district neglected. Well, government has earmarked hectares of land for the youth village project. Well, our reporter Alpha Amaruba happens to be in Kabbalah and now joins me. Alpha, good afternoon and welcome to News Hour.
Yeah, thank you very much. Afternoon.
It's not us, me, it's David. But first of all, give us background of the incident that happened earlier today in Kabbalah. Can you start by giving us a background?
Yeah, thank you very much. When order has been restored in Kabbalah town, indeed, there were shooting all over the place from the police, and there are about 5 injuries, and they are responding to treatment and gunshot wounds, and 2 people have been confirmed dead. They are presently at the mortuary. I saw them myself. 1 14-year-old older, and the other one is just above his 20s. But indeed, the situation was nasty this morning and bloody here in Kabbalah town. It all started when youth converged at the youth center this morning to hold a peaceful protest over what they believe was advanced by the government over the relocation of the youth village, according to reports from here to Tonkolele district. That did not go down well as far as they are concerned. It was disrespect, and it is what children, according to them, training and the trial to disperse, the demonstrator,
Okay, Alpha, let's talk about the number of people that are dead now. Let's talk about them and who are these people. Hello, Alpha?
And the other was outside, so the personnel deploy in the lockdown, forming houses of prominent people in Kabbalah town here, and the parents, the personnel also deploy here and there. But I will tell you, the residents of the LUC here has been burnt down. I saw it myself, I have pictures of that. And also, a couple of people belonging to the Protest Family Support Unit, also pickup one has been burnt down. And the FPSU officer in charge here, his whereabouts is not known. I was told he was in hiding. Nobody is telling us about his whereabouts in this.
Okay, I'm afraid we have to leave Mandia. He's Alpha Amaruba reporting from Kabbalah, where there were skirmishes between youths and, of course, police officers as they were protesting. You're watching News Hour live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Now we move to another story. The Ministry of Education has released the 2016 NPSC results. Binta Ba of Berkeley Nursery and Preparatory School and Wuri Ibrahim Alpha S of Matile International School Hill Station came first with aggregate 358. According to the Ministry of Education, the candidates' entry for the exam was 115,706 from 3,434 primary schools nationwide. The entry figure, according to the ministry, comprises 49.8% boys and 50.2% girls. The total number that sat to the exams was 115,670. We'll continue to bring more updates on that in our subsequent news programs. Let's take another story now. Vice President Dr. Victor BOCKARIE has stated that the government has taken a lot of steps to address youth unemployment situation through education and skills training. The Vice President was speaking at the ceremony to mark the International Youth Day in Gambia. Thomas Neal reports.
August 12th of every year is commemorated as International Youth Day. The day was declared by the United Nations General Assembly on 17 December 1999 to highlight youth issues annually in member states and recognize efforts of the world's youth in enhancing global society. The Ministry of Youth Affairs has been leading efforts by government in collaboration with the National Youth Commission, the Youth Councils, and with the support of development partners. The global theme for this year is reducing poverty through enhancing production and consumption by 2030. In Sierra Leone, the theme has been domesticated to reflect the current president's recovery priorities, focusing on enterprise development and agriculture. The local theme engaging youth in entrepreneurship and agribusiness for poverty reduction. Vice President Dr. Victor BOCKARIE said various policies have been put in place to address youth education and skills development, including the National Youth Policy 2014, the Education Act 2004, the Local Content Policy, and the National Employment Policy and Action Plan. He said one of the most important developments in the youth skills acquisition drive has been a paradigm shift in all areas of training and learning, adding that this shift ensures that young people are prepared to become job creators rather than job seekers.
Not a crime for being a youth. Not a crime at all. Work tall and be proud. You know, the youth population, if you for compartmentalize that, any side you use a bed, and then the strength of the country. Any side. And that means we own government, President and Roman government, we don't set up a whole lot for the youth. And we will continue for set up much more. You know, commission, we testify to that. It's been said here, I need not repeat that. And the youth farm, many youth establishments, they spread as far as Kamara, and beyond. And recently, it has been agreed that the National Youth Village is going to be located at Mile 91. That is going to be undertaken by the Chinese. Huge construction, that they provide a lot of employment for youth. So that youth now they to now for go further. There are few youths they will not think right. Small thing they don't take stone for poor youth. You know, so the youths they will not do that.
Speaking on behalf of the United Nations Resident Coordinator, the UN AIDS Country Director, Dr. Michael Boom, said the scale of unemployment and underemployment, especially of young people, is a serious developmental concern. He said the theme for this year's International Youth Day are also aligned to the presidential recovery priorities, in which youth empowerment and employment are central themes across all the recovery pillars, and call on stakeholders and especially the private sector to work together to create employment and empower the youth of Sierra Leone. The Chairman Board of Directors, National Youth Commission, Umar Farouk Sise, said there has been a lot of broken promises with issues regarding the youth since independence, but noted that this has changed over the years with the creation of structures to address issues regarding their welfare. The chairman, National Youth Council, Ibrahim Toli, said that youth leaders they note with keen interest all national and international efforts being directed by government towards exploring opportunities in agriculture with programs and initiatives developed. He said youth unemployment, poverty, and low food productivity remain the major social problems in the country. It is expected that young people will use this year's theme to demonstrate positive attitudes and display attributes that will propel them to success and contribute to the development of the country. For News Hour in Freetown, I am Thomas Neal reporting.
A delegation from the Marlborough Investment Group is in Sierra Leone to explore possible areas of investment in energy, infrastructure and agriculture sectors in the country. The chairman of Marlborough Group, Noel Maluza, and his colleague Alexandra Maluza were invited by the Sierra Leone Import and Export Agency. The company has plans to bring to Sierra Leone its modern technology and methods developed over 22 years of experience in civil works. The team briefed the press on their investment move at the company at the Sleeper Conference Room. Ramadan Kekam sent him this report.
The Sierra Leone Import and Export Promotion Agency is responsible to attract foreign direct investment into Sierra Leone and improve upon the balance of payment for business people. It is against this backdrop that the Marlborough Investment Group has decided to invest in Sierra Leone. Chief Executive Officer of SLEEP, Raymond Becky, says his agency will continue to work with foreign investors and increase investment portfolio in Sierra Leone in line with their vision. The Chief Executive Officer pledged Sleeper's continued support to provide a conducive atmosphere for foreign investors to operate. Mr. Becky adds that Sierra Leone continues to suffer brain drain as a result of the 11-year civil war and the recent Ebola outbreak. He expresses the hope that policies and programs will be developed to prevent further brain drain. A digital presentation on the microeconomy of the country investment was done by the promotion manager, Victor Bangura, indicating that Sleeper is working towards the agenda for prosperity. He says so far the country was ranked 147 out of 189 countries globally, 4th in West Africa out of 21 in Sub-Saharan Africa. Presenting a brief business proposal of the company, Business Development and Project Analyst Alexandra Maluza says his group has interest to invest in the energy, water, commercial and residential infrastructure, among others. He adds that his group is aiming at maximizing profit and to create employment and also change the socio-economic status of the country. Project Development Specialist Public-Private Partnership Unit, Amagbori, expresses concern over the resources to be provided by a Marlborough company for the implementation of their projects, stressing that the government has not enough funds for such projects. According to the country representative Marlborough Group, Christopher Olufemi George, they are ready to finance all their projects, but they need a guarantor from the government to move forward.
The National Health and Family Planning Commission of China and the Ministry of Health have signed an MOU for Chinese medical team to carry out free cataract surgery and provide support to the maternal and child health project in Sierra Leone. Joseph Stanley sent in this report read by Kojo Kwafo.
Sierra Leone is the 5th country to benefit from these free cataract operations by the Chinese government. Signing on behalf of the Chinese government, the Chinese ambassador to Sierra Leone, Ambassador Zhao Yambo, recalls the long bilateral relationship with Sierra Leone that, amongst others, resulted in the dispatch of a Chinese medical team to work in the country. He describes the signing of the two projects as a laudable venture for the improvement of the health sector.
You see, and we have already launched, you see, and implemented this kind of project 4 times. So this should be the 5th. So at the end of this month, a technical team will be sent here, one team will send here to make an assessment and collect some, you see, and cataract patients. And then the technical team will be followed, you see, and very soon. And then we'll conduct a cataract surgery for these cataract patients.
The Chinese ambassador was hopeful that at the end of this month, a Chinese technical team will be sent to make assessment and collect samples of cataract patients, to be followed by a second team to join surgeons to do cataract surgeries nationwide. Ambassador Zhao Yambo recalls the Chinese government's support to Sierra Leone during the Ebola crisis and pledged its continued commitment to supporting the health sector. The Minister of Health and Sanitation, on behalf of the government, thanks the Chinese government for their continued support to Sierra Leone, especially the Health Ministry. He says the friendship between the two countries dates some 40 years back and that Sierra Leone is one of the most consistent supporters of China. The Health Minister explains about the importance of the projects to save lives of Sierra Leoneans.
But what is more amazing is the fact that China is even now poised to do far more than they have ever done for this country. His Excellency, the Ambassador, has just announced, besides these two projects that we are launching today, he has just announced two very big projects that they have already committed themselves to undertake for us. One is the Tropical Disease Research Institute at Jue, which is going to be an institute of its own class in the sub-region. So that's one of them. And the second one is the one I believe everyone sitting here is also looking forward to. The Weisheng, is it? Weisheng building, the Ministry of Health building, the new Ministry of Health building.
Dr. Abubakar Fofana adds that besides the two projects, the Chinese government has committed themselves to undertaking the Tropical Disease Research Institute at Jue and the construction of an ultra-modern headquarters of the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. The Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Brahma Kagbo, outlines the importance of the two projects to enhancing a resilient, affordable and accessible health sector.
The Office of the First Lady, together with UNICEF and the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, has hosted a meeting to discuss the African Union End Child Marriage Campaign for African countries. The meeting took place at the Family Kingdom Resort. Kojo Kafu reports.
This meeting is as a result of the call made by the African Union for African countries to take leadership in ending child marriage for them to meet their sustainable development goals. Hence, the First Lady is using this high-level meeting to advocate with lawmakers for the total banning of child marriage. The reasons for child marriage in the African setting are many. The Sierra Leone Parliament has passed into law statutes to mitigate against the problem. The First Lady Sia Nyamakroma, an ardent advocate for the banning of child marriage, called on stakeholders to commit themselves to look into the relevant statutory laws and bring this pervasive problem of child marriage to an end.
While the practice of child marriage has been slowly declining, particularly for girls under age 15 or more concerted efforts are needed to accelerate the pace of change. If there is no reduction in child marriage in Africa, up to 280 million more girls alive today are at risk of becoming brides before they turn 18. The effects of population growth mean that this number will approach over 320 million by 2050. The Sierra Leone context. In Sierra Leone, 48%, according to the Demographic Health Survey in 2013, of women between the ages of 20 to 24 were married before the age of 18. 28% of all pregnancies occur amongst teenage girls, accounting to 40% of maternal deaths.
The Deputy Minister of Social Welfare called for the total banning of child marriage, saying that her ministry is committed to ensuring that once and for all the problem is tackled head-on.
If we get it right during this breakfast meeting, we will get it right as duty bearers to put an end to this menace of child marriage in our society. We represent a critical mass of stakeholders who should ensure that the practice of child marriage is eradicated in our communities. You are not here by accident, as the event planning committee carefully identify you as stakeholders.
Commitments were made by representatives of UNFPA, Save the Children, Plan International, World Vision and UN Women who are providing technical support for the campaign. They congratulated the First Lady on her advocacy role and expressed commitment to look into the statutory laws on ending child marriage. Several stakeholders were present and also made commitments, including the Minister of Justice, Deputy Minister of Social Welfare, Commissioner, Children's Commission and the Nigerian High Commissioner. Members of Parliament, traditional and religious leaders. A girl from the northern region, who is also a member of the First Lady's annual girls' camp, shared her experience on child marriage and how she was able to overcome it.
Member States. Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, never told us not to send our girl child to school because all of our children we are learning, and by then it was Arabic that was existing, and he never stopped the girls to get this education. Why are we now stopping our girls to acquire education? Okay. The Quran, as we said, it states that you should send a girl to marriage home, but it doesn't give us a specific time or age, which means we have no right to destroy the future of a girl child in our country. Government, we want the laws to be enforced.
The strongest call from the children was to ensure that child marriage is banned and perpetrators face the full force of the law, and for parents who give their child away to marry be brought before the law.
No matter who you are, be you the parent, the perpetrator, or whatsoever, you should be punished.
A member of the African Union team gave an overview of the campaign. The grand official launch of the End Child Marriage campaign will be held on the 17th of September this year at the Bank Complex, where the African Union Commissioner, Dr. Mustafa Sidiki Kaloko, will be present. Kojo Kwafu, SLBC.
Now, since the death of MOSERAY FADIKA last week, mourners continue to troop to the family house of the late man at Magazine Court. Mr. FADIKA died last week in London at the Whitechapel Hospital. 1 week after his death, BOCKARIE visited the FADIKA compound at Magazine Court.
They represent the friends of Super inside the magazine community. I believe that the death of MOSERAY FADIKA means a lot to the whole nation. Because we say friends of Super, so we retain over about magazine. Although we get friends of Super all over the wonderful country, but this in Taiwan, it means so many things to the nation. Because as my brother we said this now, so many things will spoil where if we don't start, where we believe say somebody not go there where we can take up the man in footstep again. That's where God wonderful, but we not think so. Need to think about that all.
But you pray for brother as
already there, now various Muslims, some of Turkana back, but for camp officially as the council no more, and this is back.
FADIKA and Diamond shock me, because we knew that man, and they people me picking them. Check them and me and they help me for pay school fees for all kinds of me bobo. They put out Ilante go college. Well, don't go land on I put out again walk. They give you full family all work for the night. They feed you the all kinds of. They put all the past that they feed they take care for the this boy and so. This and this cause in dive and shock we all together.
Now good man, he down to the earth. And before God taking life, God give a big love. The love what God will give by Mosere FADIKA during first month. He give first month to all them people there. But we as Council of Imams, the day by Mosere FADIKA we go give we own Sunakati. He meet up all the imams all over the country every day.
The Chiefdom Speaker of Tambaka Chiefdom, Bombali District, Ibrahim Yansane, has called on various community health workers and community health officers to make effective use of the medical services provided by the Japanese government and the International Organization for Migration. The call was made during the presentation of items to help health workers in Tambaka to address any outbreak and emergency treatment for citizens in that part of the country. MOSERAY sent in this report.
These equipment and materials will be used by community health workers within the border areas of Bombali District to monitor and report emergency health-related issues. Chiefdom Speaker Ibrahim Yansane of Tambaka Chiefdom commended the Japan government and the International Organization for Migration for their support towards humanity. The people of Tambaka has been faced with a lot of challenges with regards proper health facilities, but with the provision of such items, there will be more improvements in the health system.
So we feel good, especially at this time when the Tambaka get things like they want. When we rode, so road them to Canada Guri. Now only they can tell you get where they can people live. So if we get plenty as a start, we appreciate them and we really tell God thank you when we get to Tanzania. We tell the people of Japan and IOM, because as I say, Tambaka don't live from time immemorial. Japan don't do from time immemorial. Japan never can be getting Tambaka back. Now IOM connect with. And when IOM connect, we get to tell this time before stand before the possible we give tell and thank you.
Training coordinator of International Organization Migration, Jasmine Riley, says the organization will also conduct trainings for the health workers in handling emergency-related issues.
We are, as an organization, are in full support of furthering the aims of the President's recovery plan. We've joined hands with the government of Japan, the people of Japan rather, to provide some support in way of training, in way of making sure they have some supplies, laptops, mobile phones, IPC materials, motorbikes for tracing, because we all understand after this last Ebola outbreak that devastated the whole country that the health system was significantly challenged and there's a lack in equipment, there's a lack in training, so everyone, many partners, including the people of Japan, other donor agencies are joining hands with agencies like
She thanked the health workers and officers for their tremendous role played during the Ebola outbreak and called on them to report all critical cases to the District Medical Hospital for quick intervention. The District Medical Officer of Bombali District, Dr. Brema Osayu Kamara, expressed appreciation for the medical consignment as the DHMT is planning to reach the last village. The items, he says, are timely as they will make sure that the people of Tambaka benefit from the gesture. Chairman of Bombali District Council, Shanghai Kroma, appeals for continuous support from the two organizations, especially in strengthening PHUs in communities of Tambaka. The Chiefdom Shanghai Kroma says lacks pure drinking water and toilet facilities. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, how Moseray reporting.
Minister of Education has inaugurated the Teaching and Service Commission. Dr. MINKALU called on the commissioners to ensure that they execute the function in accordance with their mandate. Jasko reports.
Senior Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Dennis Vandi, notes that the commission was established by an Act of Parliament in 2011 to manage the affairs of teachers in order to improve on their welfare and professionalism in the classroom. He adds that the commission will embark on public participation exercise and extend its functions to the districts in longer term. Senior Permanent Secretary notes that at the moment they are struggling to offer global competitive quality education to young people. He says it is time for the Commission to review the Ministry's achievements and challenges to chart the way forward, and that its most fundamental function is to evaluate the performance of teachers. The Deputy Country Representative of UNICEF, Sanduzu Latif, appreciates the inauguration of commissioners of the Teaching Service Commission with an expectation that it will deliver quality education. She says the move demonstrates the good leadership of the Ministry of Education. The UNICEF Deputy Country Representative expresses the hope that they strongly believe that the Commission will work with the Ministry of Education in transforming the sector. She cites the Ministry's priority on the teachers' payroll, which she describes as important. She lauds DFID, EU and the World Bank for the support and calls on them to continue the support to the education sector. She congratulates the Commission for accepting the challenge to give the sector a better face. The Minister of Education, Dr. MINKALU, says his ministry is determined to ensure efficiency and decency in the running of the Commission. He says the Commission was set up to give license to teachers so as to maintain professionalism in the educational sector. He assures the commissioners of his ministry's fullest support in maintaining discipline and best practice management of teachers.
My ministry is determined to ensure efficiency and probity in the running of this commission. I note with satisfaction the growing number of graduates from our tertiary institutions, and while it is my wish to see the trend continue, I wish to state emphatically that I have a grudge with some of the graduates from our institutions. I would like to explain this. We have people coming from this institution now with certificate. They said we are graduates, but believe me, if you check this people and interview them properly, they cannot cheat in our schools. And that is why we decided to establish the commission so that they give license to teachers in this country, they become professional.
According to him, the Commission is the regulatory body of teachers and that the guide indicates that the Commissioner should ensure that they carry out their mandates in accordance with the laid down procedures for the promotion of the welfare of schools in the country. The Commissioner Teaching Service Commission, Dr. Beckley, describes the inauguration as a defining moment in education. She assures that they are ready to take the Commission to a well-structured operations. She notes that much is expected from the Commission, though it is very challenging. Their aim is to succeed. The Commissioner Teaching Service Commission has that innovations in education are priority investments, commending global partnership on education for support and looking forward for productive engagement.
You're watching news on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Up next is the business news with Judith Sana.
Hello and welcome to the business update. We begin with the foreign exchange rates. The US dollar buys at 6,116 leones and sells at 6,239 leones. Pound sterling buys at 7,898 leones and sells at 8,062 leones. Euro buys at 6,830 leones and sells at 6,966 leones. That's the foreign exchange rate courtesy of the central bank. Iluka Resources Limited, the Australian mineral sand miner, has entered a temporary suspension of trading and has shown interest to buy Sierra Limited, listed on the London Stock Exchange. Lucian Ganda filed in this report. That an offer has been made for the acquisition of Sierra Rutile by Iluka, a giant mineral sands resources company. Sources close to the London Stock Exchange say the company will offer 36p for each Sierra Rutile share, valuing the company at about £250 million sterling. According to the sources, Iluka will also assume the company's debt of about $60 million, adding that the acquisition will also double its resources base and secure ownership of a mineral sands operation in Sierra Leone that produces 130,000 tons of rutile with expansion potential of up to 240,000 tons a year. The acquisition of Sierra Rutile, the sources added, along with current Iluka project, will provide the potential for enhanced portfolio flexibility, which in turn determines the level and phasing of Iluka's future capital expenditure. Iluka is said to have entered 2016 with a strong balance sheet, and it is reported to have no debt and has $1 billion of undrawn banking facilities. Sierra Rutile has been expanding its operations in the southwest with the aim of becoming the world's biggest producer of rutile, which is used in the pigment industry. That's the business update. Thanks for watching. I'm Judith Sana.
Thank you very much, Judith Sana. Here with the latest in business, we take another story. The Executive Director, Educational Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Thomas Aliu, has described Honorable Justice Donald M.A. Macaulay as a change maker to the success of his education. He made a statement at the opening of the Honorable Justice Donald M.A. Macaulay Multipurpose Hall at Grafton. Anna Tukonte reports.
The hall was named in memory of the humanitarian gesture by Justice Macaulay, who died 3 years ago. The Educational Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired provides skills training in carpentry, catering, IT, and social needs of the crafting community. The Executive Director of the Educational Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Thomas Aliu, recalled how Justice Macaulay supported him to become what he is today.
I came across somebody I always describe as a philanthropist, as somebody I can describe as somebody who had empathy, not sympathy. We don't need sympathy, we only need empathy. He felt how I felt, as a little boy yearning for education. He dipped his hand into his pocket and said, I am going to make something for you to be greater. He spent all his resources on me to be educated in this country.
He encouraged the audience to make good use of the opportunity as they render free services in skills training for the blind, visually impaired, and less privileged. Mr. Aliu called on the children to be courageous, work together, and develop a foundation that can help vulnerable groups. A representative of the late Honorable Justice Donald M.A. Macaulay said they were proud of the achievements made by the Executive Director. She added that education is a privilege and that they should take advantage of the facilities and encourage Sierra Leoneans to support the center for it to maintain its standards. Deputy Director, Special Needs Department, Ministry of Education, Stephen Korosa, spoke of support by his ministry to the institution. He noted that the ministry has never found the center wanting of violence, saying the discipline displayed by the executive director overshadow activities of the center, though is not a teacher.
The Minister of Works, Honorable Kamara, has said he will prosecute the driver Mohamed Jallo caught dragging iron rods in a truck on the BOCKARIE highway. He made a statement at the Bandama checkpoint where he intercepted the driver and handed him to the police. Mawali reports.
I took him to the police. I'm going to pursue that matter. Call me anytime to go to court because I know how much money government spends on it. For you to come and dig the road like this, and rain comes tomorrow, we have potholes, and the 1 year the road is finished. It's unacceptable. So I am very serious about that. I will go there anytime they call the matter. I told the IG. I will leave. If I have cabinet, I'll talk to President Kamara to give me a chance to go to court and prosecute. Because for me, it is callous indifference. I mean, it's painful because I know how much it costs to build a kilometer. For you to go and destroy 10, 15 kilometers just by selling 2-3 ton iron of 12-16 million, you destroy $3 to $4 million. It's unacceptable.
The Minister of Works, Housing and Infrastructure, Honorable Kamara, was en route to Bo from Kono to inspect the roads under construction in that part of the country. He says he was shocked when he saw a Diana truck with registration number AGG 330 loaded with many iron rods and were being dragged on the newly paved road along the BOCKARIE highway, thereby damaging the surface of the road. It is against this backdrop that the Minister of Works, Housing and Infrastructure, Honorable Kamara, intercepted the driver Mohamed Jallo and handed him over to the police. Statements were obtained from both the minister and the driver in question on that same night. Honorable Kamara asked that he is waiting to hear from the police in Kenema as soon as possible when the case will be charged to court. He vows to appear before the court at any time when called upon as a complainant to prosecute Mohamed Jallo, the driver. Honorable Kamara says government is spending huge money on the construction of roads in the country, adding that citizens must bear the responsibility of taking care of these roads. Sources revealed to SLBC that the vehicle in question belongs to a Lebanese national and that the driver Mohamed Jallo was instructed by him as an employer to carry the iron rods to the final consumer despite the fact that they were not properly loaded in the vehicle to avoid damaging the road. The minister believes that both the driver and the owner of the vehicle must be charged to court for maliciously damaging government property.
The driver caused malicious damage. By him dragging the iron rods, he knows very well that they are going to dig the asphalt. And also the supplier who has the vehicle, who loaded the vehicle with those iron rods, hanging them over to the street, has caused conspiracy to damage government property. Both of them are culpable.
But interestingly, the driver in question, Mohamed Jallo, explains that this is not the first time that the police at the Bandama checkpoint in Kenema had allowed him to transport iron rods in the same vehicle in like manner, noting that he actually ran out of luck that night that the minister caught him red-handed. He, however, pleaded with the minister for mercy, but to no avail. But the question now is, will the police at the Bandama checkpoints also be charged to court for knowing and doing? Or they'll let them go because they are police officers? SABC News, Mahawa Aliyu.
That's our last news item for this afternoon. To news out of the main points again. Skirmishes in Kono, unconfirmed reports said 2 people have been killed. The Ministry of Education has released the 2016 NPSC result. A delegation from Magro Investment Group is in Sierra Leone to explore possible areas of investment. And Chinese medical doctors have to carry out free cataract surgery on Sierra Leoneans. That's all we have time for this edition of News and Broadcast Live on the SLBC. On behalf of news producer Jude Sana and news editor Asniba, I'm David Patrick Kamara. For more about our program, send us an email to contact us at slbc.sl. Up next is Issues in the News. Good afternoon.